Welcome back. So here we are again, and it's a Thursday. Last Thursday I started some little lessons about multiple choice testing. And so today I want to continue that. And I'm going to continue my, no, it wasn't Thursday, it was Friday, right? It was Friday last week. I'm not going to cut out any of this mistake stuff. You may have noticed I have trouble with numbers as well, and I taught math. That's the first subject I taught. Anyway, that's beside the point. I'm going to talk about multiple choice testing every Friday until I get done exhausting the subject. And today I want to talk a little bit about some things I realized and some things I used in order to make my multiple choice testing what I considered really of value. But I'm going to start out with a little story about a parent. I had a parent-teacher conference about a student, and the parent was upset the student was failing, and I understood that, yes, of course. And as the conference continued, the kid complained about everything. Students do that. They complain that the teacher is obviously mad with insane demands and on and on and on. It's just part of the process. Anyway, at one point, I finally asked, did you read anything I assigned you this semester? Anything? And he said no. And I looked at his mother and I said, doesn't that concern you? The thing is, a lot of students resist reading what they're assigned. Even I did when I was a teenager, and you know, we all have sins we need to be forgiven for. But she was mad because he couldn't get above a D, and I was mad because he should have failed the class outright since he never read a single thing he was assigned. It's a miracle that he got through the class as well as he did. And maybe a sign that I wasn't paying close enough attention to him during the testing. But one of the things I did find was my tests were very good at catching when somebody hadn't done the reading. And part of that has to do with this little item right here. You can't see it. I'll try to add a picture somewhere of it. It's a die. It's a single die, like one of a pair of dice. I use this to randomize my tests. Now, let me explain why I did that. I would roll the die, and if it came up 1, it was an A, 2 B, 3 C, 4 D, and I used A, B, C, D on almost all my tests. I did occasionally go to E, but I never did a 6 option. So if it came up a 5 or a 6, I just skipped that one and went on to the next time it showed up with one of the 1 through 4 thing. This is the thing about that. It turns out that encryption and randomization are hard. Truly speaking, it's hard to randomize, either through the computer or any other way, but the way that works best is the way that's most old, and that's this rolling of the die. And so I would randomize my test answers that way so that I never developed a pattern. You can use a pattern like ABCD, or one time, because I thought my students were trying to do that thing, I made all the answers either A's or D's. No B's and no C's. All A's or D's. Oh, they bombed that one because it was just too weird. They couldn't take it. So I strongly recommend avoiding the pattern test. If you do use a pattern on a test, only use it once because they'll be constantly oriented toward it from then on. So after the students take a test, it's worthwhile to go ahead and index the difficulty of the questions. So how you do that is you check how many people in the class what percentage of people in the class got any single question right. If they all got it right, it has no difficulty and you should probably get rid of it. If they all get it wrong, it's too high difficulty, or if it's poorly written, and you should probably get rid of it. What you want on the test is a mix of easy, medium, and difficult questions, so that you get a real intense sense of who's doing the reading and who's at least listening during the lectures. Because many students, and I think this student that was in the conference, what they do is they listen to the lecture or the discussion that follows reading a book, and then they use that to try to pass the test. This boy was not a very dedicated student, and he flunked every reading test. So that tells you something, but the writing weighed more in the end in my class, slightly more, so he passed. Yeah. Anyway, you're looking for the normal curve. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this, just a little bit. I will mention it more later on. The normal curve is also called the bell curve. And what it means is you want, in your body of your test, you want to see a sorting where you get a few at the very top, a few at the very bottom, and then a sort of even distribution of students in between that creates this normalized curve. That's statistically really, really sound analysis. Normalized curves are part of studying behavior and performance throughout the human world. So don't object to the bell or the normalized curve. They're actually good, especially in evaluating reading. The other thing I want to suggest is this. I suggest curving grades. Now, people may not understand this, but I'm going to make it really quick. If my top student got a 73% on a reading test, I would not put 73%. As you know, I use the 10-point scale. That would be a 7. But if that was the top grade, if that 73 was the absolute top grade, I would add points until that 73 turned into an A. It might be a 9 out of 10, or it might be a 10 out of 10. And then however many points I added to that top paper, I would add to all the others. And when that happened, what it did was it created a normalized curve with an A at the top, and usually maybe 1, maybe 2 F's at the bottom. So there were kids that got through classes that didn't do the reading, but they paid attention in class. They didn't necessarily get top grades. Top grades should go to students who do the work. And I spent a lot of my career trying to find ways to make sure that that happened. That cheaters didn't prosper, and that laziness didn't prosper. I wanted to see diligent, smart, skilled people do well in my class. And I centered the work around that, and I tried to model it for my students. So, if you're writing a multiple choice test, I strongly recommend get yourself a little die and really randomize your answers. That way, you won't be setting problems out that are all C's or all B's. You won't be setting out problems that don't effectively sort students as readers and non-readers. That's it for today. I hope you have a glorious rest of the day. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. You gorgeous people.